Hey guys, and welcome to the very first part of a multi-part series on how to build a sample Flutter app on both Android and iOS. So the series will basically cover things like, including but not limited to, integrating plugins from the Flutter and Dart package manager, data modeling, async operations, and using all kinds of reliable widgets for a given scenario. So with that in mind, and a disclaimer, this video will assume that you at least have the environment as well as the Flutter SDK installed on your machine. And maybe as far as like running the app or sample app into your respective device. But otherwise, I encourage you to just go to their website or docs at flutter.dev and then just press docs here. And then, yeah, get started and install on your operating system. All right, so basically, I'll be going over a pet project I worked on. I've been meaning to get a tutorial out for this, but finally found the time as part of self-quarantine. So yeah, just branched off for the respective parts in the videos I'll be publishing. So in this case, the first part here. So whenever you get a chance, just pull it down. I won't be doing any live coding though, just a general overview and like the agenda for like the other, parts in the videos to come later on. All right, so here it is. Here, I might as well show you how it looks like the emulator. So simulator and emulator, we got the iPhone 11 Pro Max and then the Pixel 3 XL. So if I open up the pet projects for both devices, so this is basically the end goal of what we want to arrive at. So notice that we're given a list UI and then the top 10 real-time headline news. So we got the titles and the publish date, or when it was published to go. So if you click on any one of these list items, it'll take you to web view. So given the URL for this headline data that we just clicked on, we'll be taking a web view that has JavaScript enabled, so we could just click on it and do whatever from the web view. Or okay, there we go. Yep, so standard web view for both Android and iOS, in which we'll go over later on to download the plugin into the project. Alright, so what else you could do is refresh. So as you guys are mostly familiar, you could like swipe to refresh, and it'll basically refresh the data here. What else you could do is, if you press this action item at the top bar, you'll have a picker basically to select whichever media outlet you want to view for the top headlines. So by default, it's Google News, right? So say if I wanted to go to Ars Technica in this case. All right, so notice that it updated from the sources for this selected media outlet. And yeah, same idea. Takes you to web view. All right. And then if we say if we close and reopen the app, we'll even go as far as caching the selected news source. So that way the user will be presented with, like, say if this is the user's favorite media outlet, it'll just take them to here once we open it. So that's another plugin we'll be using, in which we'll cover on later on. So yeah, that's mostly it for the sample app, and I included the attribution image here, which will take it to like the news API, basically the website, in which I'll cover now. So you guys are probably wondering how I get the data. So it's fortunate because we'll be using a standard public API or a service to like fetch our data. So here's the website, and I actually integrated this into an Android app in a video, which I'll link towards the end. But just to reiterate, it's a standard public API. All it takes is to get an API key for the authorization header. So here's some sample snippets where you're given this endpoint and there's some parameters, and then yeah, you just get a standard JSON response from this kind of REST API. So what I used was something like this basically. So the endpoint with the sources parameter for the corresponding media outlet. And then here's the API key parameter, but in our case, we'll be using it as a header. So if you open up Postman in this case, I won't be showing the API key just for just to be confidential. But given the parameter here of sources and Google News, let's print send. Yeah, here's the responses of 10 top headline data. So it's free and open source to use, and as you know, like for any given like public API service, like you get some limitations. So in this case, it's limited requests per month, and yeah, some other limitations if you go to the pricing. So not to endorse, but just like an FYI. So 500 requests per day, and yeah, okay. So it's not really real time, but a 1 hour delay. And then you get real time if you get the business enterprise plan. Cool. So yeah, it's open source. If you go to their GitHub here, so from my understanding, it's built by Dart and for Dart. So it's probably in their pub manager, as I mentioned earlier. So if you go to pub.dev, there we go. And then the plugin name should basically be News API clients. And then if you press this, you'll see the page and the corresponding repo. So here it is, written in Dart 100%, there you go. Yeah, so show them some love. It's been pretty loyal to me so far, considering that they haven't really made updates based on their pub page. But it's definitely like useful for sample or pet projects. All right, cool. So yeah, so why don't we so as you see here, I'm using VS Code just to utilize the cross-platformness, just because we'll be opening up some Android and iOS files, as well as some other files that other IDEs will not recognize, and just running the simulators or emulator here. Okay, cool. So yeah, so the objective of this video is to just basically pull down the project from this repo. So as I said earlier, we'll be having it in parts incrementally, where the second part will be part 2, in which I'll push out weekly. So basically the goal of the series is to get a part out each weekly at earliest. So probably by next week, if not sooner or later, I'll push out the second branch and then the video for what to cover from there on. Okay, so once you get this pulled down, and pull down in VS Code or whichever ID you prefer, notice that we're presented with a bunch of to-do statements, right? So if you download the extension for VS Code, what's called to-do tree, which I highly recommend you guys try out, you could see that we have a bunch of to-do statements we're going to accomplish incrementally. So a good example is here. So we'll be referencing from a static file, right? So if we get the news API key from the website, so if you press this right here, it'll encourage you to create an account, given an email. And again, just to be confidential, I won't be showing the API key in my account when I press this. But once you get that, just store it for later on, in which we'll be referencing, just to actually query data and show it to or log it, for instance. Okay, so we won't be really coding just for the sake of time, rather just going over the overview and the end goal. So just knowing what the end goal is, what we'll be covering instead is just a hello world, right? So let's see. Yeah, before I actually run it, I just wanted to go over the versions I'm running on for both the environment versions. So if I run Flutter Doctor here on my terminal, so yeah, I'm using the latest master builds, which is 1.2.3 or 1.23, and then here's the Android right here, so 29, and then Xcode 11.3. Alright, so just to make things clear. Alright, so basically we got this emulator and simulator running right here. Okay, Cool. So if we just do a Flutter Run, so notice that I have both devices open. So let's go with Android first. Let that build up. Alright, so notice that it just presents a text widget. Alright, so for iOS, quit that. Okay. Not sure if you guys see my fan writing. Just, I'm playing this emulator right here. It's really expensive in memory, so why don't we just close this bad boy? Alright. Now for the simulator. There you go. So compile successfully on both platforms. So if you could just go as far as like accomplishing this on your end, then you're definitely good to go by the next part, in which I'll be publishing, sometime next week maybe. But if not, just feel free to leave a comment, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you guys may have. So yeah, that'll do it for this video. Feel free to reach me out via Twitter. The handle will be in the description. Otherwise, just leave a comment. But yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys in the next part. Thank you.